Hi, I'm Chris Yerby, founder and CEO of Scrap Connection, and I'd like to explain how together we can eliminate losses from fraud, canceled agreements, and material quality issues in the global scrap trade. This means no more losses from these issues for you and your company. But first, I'd like to introduce myself to you and share how I ended up in this industry, most importantly, why I've made it my mission to fix the problems we're all experiencing. After studying engineering in college, I started my own consulting company in the environmental sector, primarily analyzing factories' waste production to help them reduce their waste expenses. My consulting company was a great success, and it was this experience that started me on a 20-year career path in the waste and recycling industry. I learned an enormous amount about the problems in the recycling industry right from the beginning. In fact, my first exposure to fraud was almost 20 years ago when I witnessed a supplier cheating in the paper industry. This company used an industrial-sized sprinkler system connected to a fire hose, watering down acres of palletized cardboard bales in order to increase their weight and therefore their profit. One employee even bragged about the process, explaining that they cook it in the sun for a few days so that it was dry on the outside before they shipped it to the mills. Of course, the material was sold on weight, so that company earned a higher profit margin, meaning they could then win new business by outbidding their honest competitors. So you can see how honest suppliers who have to deal with competitors that cheat in order to stay in business themselves. I've seen the same scenario played out in other scrap industries, especially in scrap metals. Buyers want to be sure they're getting the best quality each time, but because of competitive reasons, there is an enormous incentive for suppliers to cheat a little on quality. And this is what I call the downward spiral of quality, and it's created by the negative incentive to cheat. So I'll tell you how we can solve that negative incentive in just a minute, but first I'd like to share with you one of the most difficult experiences of my entire business career. And it's what pushed me into action to make a difference in our industry. In 2004, I co-founded a trading company dealing in scrap metals. My partner and I ran that business for 6 years, but in 2009, we lost over $150,000 to a man that we had checked out very well. We toured a scrapyard, we sat at his desk, drank coffee, even had dinner with him and his wife at his home. And we started the business with 3 small transactions, all turned out very well. But it was on the 4th deal, to put it bluntly, that he robbed us. And I was really shocked. There was absolutely nothing we could do to collect the money from him in court. It turned out he didn't even actually own the yard or wasn't a partner. He didn't own any other assets, so the only other recourse was for us to pursue it with the authorities under fraud. But the Florida state attorney wanted us to go through the FBI, and the FBI said the case was under $1 million, so they weren't interested, and they pushed it back. And in the end, we had to write off the loss completely, which nearly wiped out all of our operating capital. When a person is a victim to fraud, it's a very painful experience. I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, how could I have been this foolish? Why didn't I confirm his partnership agreement with his partner, the actual yard owner? Why didn't I check further into his history? How did I miss that bankruptcy in Houston years earlier? And I painfully remember the day I went to our investors with hat in hand and had to confess that we'd lost this money and it was never coming back. And what does a person do in a situation like that? I decided the only way I could erase that painful experience out of my life was to create a solution so other good people in our industry don't have to suffer from these types of losses from dishonest people. So fraud is a huge problem with buyers, and you can understand how this creates friction in the market, but there are 2 more financial risks that both buyers and sellers of scrap deal with on a regular basis: canceled agreements and issues surrounding material qualities. Now, we've conducted many surveys over the last 5 years, and we estimate the losses from these 3 problems to cost the industry over $200 million each year. Losses to canceled agreements and problems related to material quality affect everyone, sellers included. And if you are an importer, a broker, or a trader, and you've been in the business for at least 5 years, you almost certainly experience losses to fraud. Every successful scrap professional has at least one story of losing money from one of these 3 major sources of dishonest business practices. So we have some big problems in our industry, and the way I see it, we're all in this together. And personally, I want to do my part, so I've made it my mission to eliminate these problems from your day-to-day business operations. Now, all 3 of these problems can be solved by bringing more transparency to global trade. Transparency in companies' reputations with their suppliers and buyers, and more transparency in the purchasing process from order to delivery. Transparency equals more profit. And that's why I founded Scrap Connection. My passion today is to completely eliminate dishonesty in the global scrap trade. And after years of studying the industry and talking with suppliers and importers, brokers and traders alike, we put some of the best minds together to create a system that beats the cheats. Now, I'm not saying it's foolproof, but it is proven, and it does work. Now, many of you think of Scrap Connection as an online marketplace for scrap metals. However, that is just one element of our business model. We aim to be much more than a marketplace. There are enough of those already. We aim to be the global one-stop shop, providing all necessary tools and services for efficient and safe trading of recyclables. For example, we'll soon offer a shipping quotes and booking tool with absolutely the lowest rates in the industry. We'll also add trade finance products such as escrow, price hedging, and LC finance options. But before we launch all these new products, it's crucial that we strengthen the foundation upon which our entire platform is built, which is trust and transparency in trade. That's why our newest product, which is available right now, is Trade Reputation Reports. Each information-rich multi-page report provides you valuable information that you can use to evaluate your trading partners. And at its core, it rates the trading practices of a company dealing in scrap. It's kind of like a credit report, except instead of being about the credit worthiness of a company, it's about their credibility with their suppliers and with their buyers. So each report also contains useful information about a company, such as locations, employees, insights on their trading history, top trading partners, materials traded, etc. But most importantly, it contains an overall Scrap Connection score. Use these reports to make decisions about the trustworthiness of a company whom you've never done business with, or even to check up on a current trading partner. We answer questions such as, how is the quality of the material? Do they settle claims rapidly? How about the timeliness of either their payment, the shipment, the delivery? And very importantly, do they have any open claims that have not been resolved? Or have they canceled contracts in the last 60 days? Consider how this can add value to your business. If buyers, for example, give feedback on all of their suppliers, and suppliers are aware that buyers will grade them every time, we can remove the negative incentive to cheat because it won't go unnoticed. And on the flip side, honest suppliers are showcased. So once we remove the incentive to cheat, buyers will feel more comfortable about their suppliers and are willing to pay more. Almost every buyer I've spoken to on this topic says they're willing to pay a little more if the supplier is guaranteed trustworthy. And you can use these reports to avoid fraudulent players, to find trustworthy new trading partners, and because they create transparency, they add that positive incentive for everyone to do business the right way. Now, remember my original claim about completely eliminating losses from fraud and contract cancellations. Consider this. These trade reputation reports are a product that can also be used by insurance companies and banks to evaluate the trustworthiness of trading partners. So when two companies that both have a high enough score on Scrap Connection enter into an agreement with each other, the risk of loss can be underwritten by one of our insurance partners right on our platform. Banks will also step in to provide trade finance at much lower rates. Therefore, companies are incentivized to do honest business because that honesty actually translates to higher margins, lower cost financing, and reduced financial risk. So that's the big picture, and this is how we will solve the fraud problem once and for all. Scrap Connection itself is the unbiased trust agent for global scrap trade. We are not brokers or traders. We never trade ourselves, and we never will. We're legally bound to keep private business information private. We utilize this authority and the trust you place in us to create these meaningful reports for your business that can save you enormous amounts of time and money. And my team and I are very passionate about fixing the global scrap trade, but we also need your help. Help us help you. If you like what we're doing, there are 3 things you can do to help us make this vision a reality. First, submit feedback on your trading partners. Eventually, this feature will be built into the new company reports product, but for now, please respond to the requests that we send for feedback via email. This is very important. Second, get your trading partners to leave feedback on your company as well. Think of it this way. The more feedback your own trading partners give, the better the trading report we can create on your company, allowing you to communicate your excellent reputation globally. Third, if you really want to help accelerate transparency in the global scrap trade, support us financially. You can do this by purchasing our reports or subscribing to our Pro or Enterprise plan at scrapconnection.com, or even by investing in us through our public securities offering. There are only a few days left for investing, so if you're interested, check us out. Look us up on wefunder.com. And remember, all revenue investment funds at this stage go into building solutions to the problems that you are experiencing every day. So I thank you for taking your time today to listen to this presentation. Please do me a favor, share this with your contacts in the scrap business, and together we'll change the industry. Thanks again.